Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin', where we're going to talk about Japanese bureaucracy. Kind of funny that I'm wearing a suit as we talk about bureaucracy. And things that you can do to not give yourself so much of a headache while you're dealing with it. And it's really simple. There's like two things I would mention. I bet I can hammer this video out within like 5 minutes or so. So basically, first off, Japanese bureaucracy is probably more involved than bureaucracy where you're from, unless you're from like a really, really old country or culture. I think that older cultures are like hyper bureaucratic. They've just been codified and been doing things for so long that this is what develops. Also, with places that have a much larger population, you need to be a lot more organized. So it makes sense. The Canadians are organizing 30 million people, the Japanese are organizing 130 million people, and so the rules regarding that are a little bit more complex. Not only that, you have 130 million people crammed into this kind of space, and so you need to be strict about rules and regulations, or they've chosen to be so. And so yeah, I would admit right out of the gate that when you're dealing with the sort of bureaucracy that you have in Japan, it's going to be a little bit more involved. But then the tendency is when you come here to be frustrated by that bureaucracy if you're not quite used to it, because you're like, why do I have to sign pages A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, when back home I only have A, B, C? The example that I would give for this is I'm in the process of getting a car right now, and in Canada, to buy a car, you go into CIBC, you want to do a transfer of ownership, you both sign, you say how much was paid for the vehicle. That's basically it. They transfer the insurance over. There's nothing else to worry about. In Japan, there's like 5 steps that you have to go through to accomplish buying a car. One of which is that there's like this really cool thing I love now that I have, which is a hanko or inkan, which is basically a seal or one of these like cool stamps that you see the Japanese using. And it's not one thing that you have to just have the stamp, it's that you have to have it registered with the city hall. Which is only for these much more formal things that you would have to do this. Not only that, if you want to buy a vehicle, you have to do a proof of parking. I'm actually going to go through a whole separate video on buying vehicles in Japan. I've talked about this, but I think if I give people like a heads up how to buy a car in Japan, it'll save people tons and tons of time so you don't have to learn about it as we go. But I use it now to highlight the whole idea that it is more involved. Like, this is like, you can't argue that. But now knowing that and accepting it, because there's no changing it, there's no one foreigner going to come into the country and suddenly all the paperwork disappears. The best way that you can deal with this, which is kind of a no-brainer, but it's just a reminder to do so, is that anything that you can find out preemptively, you should. So if you're about to buy a car, any question that you can ask when you go in, you ask that question. Any kind of, I have like a little lady just staring at me outside the window here. I'm not sure why. I kind of want to look at her, but maybe she needs to, damn it, I think she needs to get out. She didn't even need to get out. She didn't need to get out. So I got out of the way and then she just sat there, whatever. So like I was saying, you've got this bureaucracy that admittedly is a little more involved, but another point I wanted to make is that when you're going about it in the right way and you have the information available to you, that it flies by, provided you're doing it in the right order of steps. So what you need to do to save yourself a huge headache is preemptively know everything. So when you think you've got enough information, get more information. When you think you've asked enough questions, ask 6 more questions, just as much as you can possibly know. Like, the situation for me right now buying my vehicle is exacerbated by the fact that I'm also switching addresses at the same time, and when you want to do something like register a parking space, they need it all to be in the same spot. So if you have a hanko that's registered in an old address, but a parking space that's at a new address, no, that won't do. And that's where the headache was created. But can I be angry at them for that? No, it's my fault. It's me not knowing the steps. So you only usually have your own ignorance to blame on the situation going any more slowly. So that's all I would recommend. It didn't need to be huge. I was just like, man, you should really, like, as soon as you get a piece of paperwork that you're doing where you're like, okay, I've got to switch addresses, get it done right away. Like, if you're going to get a new car and they say you need to register your Honko, get it done right away. Like, you will, if you procrastinate on any sort of bureaucratic detail, if you don't ask every single question, you will be in a quagmire of absolute hell, because you won't be progressing forward and things will be delayed. But as soon as you get your ducks in a row, you're going to be absolutely fine, because the systems do, albeit work in a more complex way, a very efficient way here in Japan. So I'm kind of coming out the other end of things right now, where I can kind of relax, and maybe that's why I'm in the mood to make a video about how you can overcome the bureaucracy with knowledge and patience, because I wasn't necessarily so patient the other day. I can say that for sure. Although it kept my mouth shut. I mean, there's nothing worse when you go into these places. This is going to be a little bit of a rambly video, where you go in and it's not going your way, like it might not in your home country, but here they probably deal with a lot of disgruntled, frustrated foreigners, and so you become the stereotype. And there's nothing worse than becoming that negative stereotype. I don't mind being the positive one, the cool, interesting, foreign, exotic gaijin. Sure, I'll be that stereotype any day of the week. But I don't want to be the angry gaijin. That's such a bad, prevalent stereotype, for good reason. I mean, there's lots of things that are agitating foreigners while they're here. But that's my little piece of advice. It's probably stuff that you might even know already. I'm going to turn this off. But sometimes we just need that reminder to stay organized, to not get mad at the system, to understand the system, and then things will move along smoothly. So I hope you keep this in mind. Take this as a warning, ye be warned, that if you come to Japan, you should probably plan everything insanely ahead of time. Alright, if you like a video like this is like the most dry cultural video I could do, talking about Japanese bureaucracy. If you do like videos like this, please don't be afraid to hit that like button. I really appreciate it. When I see those likes, makes my day. If you do feel like subscribing, that's awesome. Love my subscribers. I love new subscribers. I love old subscribers. Subscribers are great. Let's see how many times I can say subscribers. And should you ever feel like sharing, although I don't feel like this is a heavy share video, maybe do that too. I'd appreciate that as well. All right, I'm doing some IKEA shopping tomorrow. IKEA, which is IKEA, but that's how they calls her over here in Japan tomorrow. So maybe that could be a fun trip. That'll be like kind of a cool, different video. I wonder if IKEA is any different in Japan. I bet their food is way better. Some people love the really shitty food back in Canada, but all food in Japan, it doesn't matter where you go, it's amazing. Even these like mass-marketed crazy places. So I'm going to do that, because I got a whole bunch of furnishing shopping to do. Excuse me. For the following day, which should be interesting. Make a video about that over the weekend. Maybe go out for some dinner. Alright, I'm rambling. Thanks so much for checking out the video. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now. Peace!